Okay, who is best equipped to speak to Mr. Williams?
Neil and Dan both, let me just, as they're coming up, let me both come up, let me just again stress how we approach this is we have done a certain amount of cleaning. We certainly have a certain number of our either transit police or our whack and hut forces also doing the security. And depending upon the exact nature of the long-term maintenance, we have done that portions of that. City of Portland likewise, but what was really happening was we were not seeing the kind of effort that needed to be had over time. And this resolution is trying to be able to create a system that really allows for it, be able to reflect what we had each individually been contributing, and recognize to be able to keep it as nice as we wanted, we were going to have to contribute a little bit more. But Neil and Dan, maybe you can speak specifically to some of Bob's questions.
Sure, and members of the board, let me first of all just sort of note that sort of at a higher level that those of you who were with us at the time that we conceptualized the mall project recognize that we used in many of our presentations a fairly wobbly looking three-legged stool as really our symbol of what we were trying to accomplish with the mall. We were trying to establish light rail service. We were trying to renovate what was the really deteriorating physical infrastructure. And we were also trying to provide for its long-term stewardship. And the model for that was the long-term stewardship was a partnership between all the parties involved in the mall. And recall the mall is not our property alone. It is actually an important city street. There's a great deal of responsibility and involvement from the local businesses and private sector. And so to begin to address that overall stewardship question, we formed this group over a number of years ago, a private nonprofit called Portland Mall Management, Inc. And it includes representatives from the mayor's office, from TriMet, I serve on the board of directors, as well as then a number of property owners within the downtown core, and particularly along the mall. And the idea was to come together and really identify the problems that both social and physical that needed to be addressed as we sort of take on that long-term stewardship opportunity. So PMMI has been formed. It's a private nonprofit, and that's why it hasn't been really subject to bid in a sort of typical way. However, many of the individual services that are provided under their umbrella are subject to review, pricing, and cost analysis and bid as time goes on. So that's part of what the general manager described in terms of the annual review of the contract. I think the staff report also makes note that this will be the first year of this package of services. So we would expect that there will be some adjustments, some service level adjustments in all these areas of work, whether it be security or daily cleaning or scrubbing and washing of these facilities. I also note that the 5-year term of this contract is, of course, what drives the number up to the number that it is. And a 5-year term is very typical for us for any of our maintenance contracts, and is generally what we use when we do shelter cleaning or other sort of service contracts that aren't provided directly by TriMet staff.
Let me make sure that we're absolutely clear on the fact that it's not just the mall, it's also the annual enforcement.
And I think that's also that since we came with the sort of the early on agreements that, again, we've been learning as we've been going on over the last 3 years as we've been working with the PMMI effort. One of the opportunities we saw, and I think from TriMet's perspective, is very positive, is that we can also add to the scope of services of this organization the Morrison, Yamhill, and First alignment. So we are providing the additional cleaning services and security services really wherever light rail travels in our system in the downtown area. So again, we think that's a positive enhancement of the scope. And again, most of these services we would be, from the TriMet perspective, would provide anyway. I'd also just note on the $16 million, recall that about rough numbers, 2/3 of it is being provided by the City of Portland. And this is being funded by an increase in parking meters, which has been approved by the City Council. 35 cents, about half of that increase amount actually goes to fund this program. So, and that was worked through very carefully and diligently with the downtown business community who supported it because they want to make sure that this infrastructure investment stays strong over long haul. Another question Board Member Williams had was about the security services, and I would say that we believe there's a great advantage. This is the heart of the TriMet system, and it is also an area that we know has had historically a lot of difficult social issues to deal with. So we believe that the added security, which again is 2/3 paid for, if you want to look at it this way, by other parties, is a great investment for TriMet in terms of additional comfort for our riders and our passengers who are using the downtown mall. And I may not have hit every point, but...
I'm here this morning on behalf of Executive Steve Banton from Operations. I just want to add a footnote to what Neil said in answer to Board Member Williams' questions. As Neil pointed out, I think it's on it's the third page of the memorandum that has a little table near the bottom with respect to the $16 million that Board Member Williams is asking about. Just prior to that is a paragraph that points out that TriMet's contract with Portland Mall Management, Inc. over the 5-year term would not exceed $8.2 million. And as you see in the table that follows that paragraph, only half of that sum, approximately $4.0 million, is actually from TriMet funds over that 5-year period. And when that's really what TriMet is putting into this over that 5-year period, about $800,000 a year. And further, when one considers that that is not just for the mall, but is also Morrison, Yamhill, and First, and has that security services component, then in fact, the cleaning and maintenance element of that over the 5 years, over all of that territory, puts that in perspective. It's not the 16 million as it first appeared here. As one looks at that table and sees what that 16 million is, in terms of the total contribution, the difference is primarily on the city side and reflects beyond the funds that they would provide TriMet for its contract with PMMI, the value of the city's direct provided services. So the contract with PMMI would actually be just, between TriMet and PMMI, would just be $8.2 million over that 5-year period. And finally, on the question about the contracting, PMMI will turn and contract themselves, or i.e. subcontract to TriMet, its contractors for cleaning and maintenance services. For year 1 of the agreement, they will continue with the present cleaning services that they've used during the construction of the project on 3rd and 4th Avenue, which is the Portland Business Alliance's Clean and Safe program. But for year 2 of the program and of this contract and going forward, the agreement provides that they will put out those services to bid and that all of their subcontracts will be subject to TriMet's approval.